Okay, so we're ready to move on to constructing our dessert boxes. You have your templates made and you assembled them at one point so you know that they all fit together, right? Tops and bottoms, sides, back. And you're going to bring that to life in a slab piece. Okay? So let's first start with making slabs and how we do that. Okay? So I've got my clay. It's been wedged. You can see it's been kind of spiraled around, but it doesn't hurt to wedge it a little bit more. And I'm working on top of canvas so that I don't have the clay stick to the table. That's going to be really important with slabs because you are going to roll it and press down into the table. Okay, we have nice big rolling pins. These are not toys. Okay, please don't drop it or hit it because if there gets a little chunk taken out of it, right, now every time I roll it, that chunk's going to show up repeating pattern, right? So please take good care of these. Don't hit anyone with them either, all right? They're going to kind of flatten out your clay. You do not want your clay to be super moist, just malleable and workable. And I keep flipping it back and forth. Again, it helps it not stick. I'm getting it flat enough so I can start rolling it. And I switch directions too, okay? So you press it out. Do we remember how thick we want our slabs and coils and everything to be? Like your finger, right? Like the width of your finger. If you have big fingers, maybe your pinky. Anything thicker, you're risking an air bubble and it exploding in the kiln. And we don't want it to be super heavy. So you can see, looking into this demo box here, the nice thickness of it. It is again about pinky width for the walls of this box. So I'm going to flatten it out evenly. I'm trying to get all sides so I don't have thin spots or thick spots. I want it to be a nice, perfectly flat and even. You can see right now, still too thick. I'm going to keep going. Go lots of directions, so I really spread out the clay. I can see that I have an air bubble right here. You kind of press it and move it. Don't let that just sit there in your clay. Go ahead and pop any air bubbles you see by poking a hole in it, and then it'll flatten out. That one little air bubble would be enough to break and explode your piece. So far looking good. It's getting to about that right thickness. Okay, so I've got a good slab. It's not so thin that it won't stand up, but it's not so thick that it's going to be heavy or risk exploding. Okay, and now kind of like cookie cutters, you're going to trace your pieces. There's plenty of room on this one slab for all of them, right? I'm going to cut them out. And we know that they'll all piece together and fit because we did proof of concept with our template. So you can use one of the knives. I'm just using this card here. Don't use that. All the measuring and hard work was done for you because of this template. So try and keep it as flat as possible, set it to the side. We're going to need that. Do my next one. I can even use the line I just made. pulling it up but trying to keep it flat. Don't need this. Another one. Try and be as precise as you can, but if you have a little bit extra like there, that cuts a little bit extra, it'd be all right. You can just recut. And I'm not using something that's going to cut through the canvas. That's why this card was nice. It's not going to cut through and ruin my canvas that we need to use over and over again. Okay, so I brought my templates to life here in clay. I have all my pieces. Now we're ready to assemble them. If your clay is too wet and wobbly, you'll need to let it stiffen up to the leather hard stage just a little bit longer. Okay, so decide which triangle you want to be your bottom. I'm doing this one. You could just stick it on top or to the side, but that joint isn't going to be as good as creating a beveled edge. So a beveled edge is like at a 45-degree angle, and you're going to create a corner the same way framers would. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut a little bit off. It's still the same outer dimensions, but I just slanted that edge. Can y'all see that? So now it's slanted down that edge rather than being a right angled corner like this one. Okay, so that's the inside there. And I'm going to match it here on this triangle. You can just use the knife or a fork too. Anything that will just take the edge off to create a better one. So now those two pieces will match up and create a corner like the edge of a frame rather than being stacked on top of each other square on square. Does that make sense? That's going to give you the best connection. Okay? Like that. So I'm ready to attach these. What do I have to do to attach any two pieces of clay together? Score and slip. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and score with my fork on both sides. Scratch before you attach, right? And then I have some slip. Very watery. That's okay. Get some of that gluey slip at the bottom there. Work it in there. Give it kind of a gnarly edge because that's what's going to make the attachment really sticky and secure. Do it on the other side. Scratch before you attach, otherwise it will fall apart. And now I'm ready to stick those pieces together. Right? And I guess that's the bottom. Okay? And you push it together. I haven't really done a whole lot, and it's already standing because those angles fit together, complement each other and fit together, and that squishy slip there. So I can look at that seam underneath, and I'm supporting it with my thumb. And you can kind of pinch it together. Can we be quiet over there, please? Again, I'm recording. Kind of pinch it together. That's going to help make it solid. You can smooth it out, make it pretty. And then here in this seam on the inside where it's not going to be seen, That's where we're going to add our reinforcement coil, which was one of your vocab words for the warm-up today. So I'm going to take some of this excess clay. I'm going to make a coil. We know how to do that. We're experts at that now, right? After making 3 bowls out of coils. So I just make a coil that's long enough to cover that, right? Make it a little thin. And that's just going to reinforce, as the name says, that seam. So again, I'm going to scratch before I attach. I'm going to score and slip this coil, this little snake here. Slip acts as glue. The scratching, the scoring. This is already pretty scratched up, but I'll do a little more for good measure. And now I add that in. Press it in. And now these 2 slab pieces aren't going anywhere. Okay? And you can spend some time smoothing that out. You can even use the back side of the fork. Press it in, smooth it in to the wall there. And that seam just completely goes away. You can't even see where the coil is anymore because I've smoothed it. We're going to make some tools as well that you'll be able to use for modeling and forming things. So every single attachment is going to have that beveled edge scored and slipped together and the reinforcement coil. Like, I'm kind of even shaking it. It's not going anywhere, right? And you can look on the outside, smooth out what you want. Very good. When I'm going to store this in my locker, you have those trays, those little plastic trays. You wrap it directly in the plastic and store this in the tray. That way you can carry it. And it's going to need to be stored level, right? Okay, so I'm ready to attach my next piece. Okay, and think about the angles. I need to take off 45 degrees. Where'd my little card go? Right here. Just create that beveled edge. This one's going to go this way, so I'll take off 45 degrees right here. And then these 2 are going to match up. The same thing, 45 degrees. It's easier when it's on the table, but it's not impossible to do when it's standing up either. Score and slip, score and slip, score and slip, score and slip. I'm doing this kind of fast for demo purposes, but take your time, do it well. This edge too. If you wanted to plan ahead and bevel all edges inward of this whole piece, you could, because you know you're going to attach a back, you know you're going to attach a top. You could bevel all sides of all your pieces inward if you want to do that and get ahead. So again, the angles match up. And it stands, like it's already standing because, again, the score and slip method plus the beveled edges. So I look at it, can pinch it there, can turn it upside down. It stands on those walls. I can support underneath and pinch it shut. So we really are using all the methods we've used before. Pinch pot, right? Pinching here. Coil for the reinforcements. It's looking good. What needs to go on this seam and this seam? Reinforcement coil. So I still have this little bit left over. Score and slip it. There's still some showing, but I'll do a little bit more. Press it in. And I'm going to use again the back side and smooth it in so you can't see that anymore. You can use your fingers, you can use the tools we're going to make, really whatever works. Okay, I need a reinforcement coil vertically there too. Score and slip. Press it in and smooth it out. Okay, you can see the coil's in there and it's been smoothed out. This one's been smoothed out. And it really doesn't go anywhere. I can wobble it. It's pretty sturdy. Okay, so again, wrap it directly in plastic bag. Store it in that tray just for carrying purposes. Some people wrap the plastic around the carrying tray. That really was just so you could safely transport it back and forth. Looking ahead, I need to bevel these edges, right? And attach. And then I have a video about attaching the last slab that I'll show tomorrow. So then it would fit like that and like that. The last slab is a little trickier.